Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories from the ancient Sanskrit text, the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're talking about the life of its central figure, Krishna. And look, this isn't just a collection of old myths. It's a story that has shaped culture and philosophy for thousands of years. And it all kicks off with a really terrifying prophecy.
You know, every epic story needs a powerful conflict, and this one starts before our hero is even born. Just imagine for a second. You're a powerful king, Kamsa, and you hear a voice from the sky telling you that your own sister's 8th son is going to be the one to kill you. Yeah, that chilling warning is what sets this entire epic story in motion. So if you're thinking to yourself, wait, how could one single child possibly fulfill a destiny like that? Well, you are not alone. According to the text, an ancient king actually asked a wise sage those exact same questions, and the story he was told, well, that's what we're going to explore today. So let's start at the beginning, with Krishna's childhood. But this is no ordinary kid's story. Right from the get-go, we see this fascinating duality. On one hand, he's a playful, even mischievous child. But on the other, he's the all-powerful supreme being. I mean, his birth alone was a complete miracle. He was born in a prison cell, right? But he didn't appear as a helpless little baby. The text says his father, Vasudeva, was just totally awestruck because he saw his son appear with 4 arms, decked out in beautiful ornaments, and he instantly realized this was the supreme being in person. Okay, so let's fast forward a bit to a moment that feels, well, a lot more normal. Krishna is a young boy now living with his foster parents, and his mother, Yashoda, catches him doing what kids do, eating dirt. And like any mom would, she tells him off and says, "Open your mouth, let me see." And this is where that duality just hits you like a ton of bricks. Because when Krishna opens his mouth, his mother doesn't see a little bit of clay. She sees everything. The entire cosmos, planets, stars, all of creation. And she even sees herself in there, holding him on her lap. I mean, the vision is so massive, so overwhelming, that she starts to wonder if she's dreaming or going crazy. As Krishna gets older, his divine power starts to show up more and more. And not just in these playful, mind-bending ways. His community is constantly facing threats from demons sent by that paranoid King Kamsa, and Krishna, well, he becomes their protector. One of the biggest threats they faced was this creature, Kaliya. This was a colossal, super venomous serpent with 100 heads, and his poison had turned the entire Yamuna River, their main water source, into a death trap. Cattle were dying, people couldn't drink the water, the whole community was in real danger. So how does a young boy defeat a monster like this? Well, this is where the story gets really amazing. He doesn't just fight it. After the serpent coils around him, Krishna just expands his body until he breaks free. Then, he leaps onto the serpent's many heads and begins to dance. Can you picture that? This beautiful, divine dance is what actually tames Kaliya, who eventually just gives up. Krishna then banishes the serpent, and just like that, the river is pure again. Okay, so years pass. The child grows into a young man, and finally, the time has come for that prophecy to be fulfilled. Krishna and his brother Balarama travel to the city of Mathura, right into the heart of King Kamsa's power. And you can just feel the tension build as he faces one impossible challenge after another, all set up by his uncle. He effortlessly snaps this massive, supposedly unbreakable bow. He takes down a giant demonic elephant sent to crush him. He defeats the king's best wrestlers in front of a huge crowd. And with every victory, you can just imagine Kamsa's terror growing until that final, inevitable confrontation where Krishna fulfills the destiny foretold all those years ago. But here's the thing. The Srimad Bhagavatam isn't just a great adventure story. According to the text itself, these stories, these pastimes, have a much deeper philosophical purpose. They're meant to guide you toward a very specific understanding of what life's ultimate goal really is. For example, take a look at this number, 16,108. It's a huge attention-grabbing number, and for good reason. It represents the number of wives Krishna had when he was a king. So, what's that all about? Well, the text explains this isn't about worldly desire or lust. It's meant to be a demonstration of his unlimited, divine nature.
It says he was so perfect and self-sufficient that he could be completely present with every single one of them, all at the same time, in their own separate palaces, making each one feel like she was his one and only love. The whole point is to illustrate his infinite capacity. And that really brings us to the core message of the source text. These stories are meant to show a path called bhakti, which means pure devotional service. The text basically argues that a life that's too focused on chasing material things is always going to be full of pain, but a life focused on spiritual service, that's the path to real freedom. So, the ultimate purpose of this text is to offer something it calls pure spiritual activity. It uses this great analogy. Think about how for a sick person, any activity can feel painful, but for a healthy person, activity is joyful. In the same way, the text argues that just hearing and thinking about these divine stories is a joyful activity for the soul, and it helps lead it away from the painful cycle of material life. And this kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The text itself claims that the simple act of hearing these stories can be transformative. It really makes you wonder, beyond just entertainment or history, what is the deeper power that epic stories like this one, whether they're ancient or modern, hold for all of us today? That's it from me. Thanks for joining.